we've got a very special guest in the house. Josh Richardson, NBA player who plays for the Miami Heat. Who would you be in the Arsenal team?
Ben White.
So you got that little nasty streak
Yeah,
to you as well.
I'm probably a better scorer than Ben White. Like, I like to shoot a lot of threes.
Yeah.
Theo Walcott. This guy is a burner. And I'm like, yo. I turned, I was like, bro, Theo Walcott is sitting right behind us. And they're like, who is that? And I'm like, nah, you don't get it.
Worst record in the NBA last season?
Maybe like Portland Trail Blazers.
Portland, so that's Tottenham, right?
That was a setup.
Welcome along to AFTV Transfer Daily, the show that keeps you up to date with players that have been linked with a summer transfer move to Arsenal. Hi, and welcome along to AFTV Transfer Daily, the show that keeps you up to date with players that have been linked with a summer transfer move to Arsenal. And only 5 days now, 5 days to go until the transfer window closes. We are counting it down here on AFTV. Every Arsenal fan is counting it down because we know that we need to do more. We're kind of happy with what we've done so far, but every single time I go out on the road, the first question I get asked is, Robbie, are we going to get a forward player? Who's the striker? Who's the wide player? Who are Arsenal bringing in? Time running out. I think it's going to be a busy 5 days for Arsenal with ins and outs. I think it's going to be a busy 5 days for a lot of clubs because of the way in which this transfer window's been, where it's been affected by the Euros and by Copa America. You know, it's meant that a lot of deals are coming down to those last few days of the transfer window, and that includes a lot of business for Arsenal. One significant thing I think that could happen today is that Arsenal are going to get the results from Gabriel Jesus' scan. Mikel Merino was saying he's going to have an MRI scan that's supposed to happen today, and they will find out the extent of his groin injury. Worst case scenario, he could be out for up to 8 weeks, which surely would mean that Arsenal would have to go into the market and bring in either a striker or a wide player before the end of the transfer window. Because with Nketiah set to leave, that just leaves Kai Havertz as the lone striker. I guess you can say Trossard can play as a striker, but literally no out-and-out striker really, because even, Havertz, all right, I guess he's being converted into an out-and-out striker now, but we're leaving ourselves thin on the ground in those forward areas. On Eddie Nketiah, there was big news on this yesterday that the deal that was going to take him to Nottingham Forest for £30 million had fallen through. Now, it looks like the reason why it's fallen through is because of Eddie Nketiah. He's not really feeling going to Nottingham Forest, and that is why it fell through. The deal had been agreed between Nottingham Forest and Arsenal, but that's fallen through. And now we're hearing that Nottingham Forest have moved on to another target. They've reignited their bid to get Santiago Jimenez. They put in a €33 million bid for Jimenez. And they're waiting to find out if that's been accepted. The player wants to come to Nottingham Forest. So the deal for Eddie Nketiah to Forest looks like it's dead. However, it looks like it has, still on, because Eddie Nketiah wants to join Crystal Palace. That's what we've been being told. Crystal Palace are very, very interested in signing him. They've been interested in signing Eddie Nketiah since January of this year. In the last transfer window, they are now set to move back in and make a move for Eddie Nketiah. That's his preferred destination. No bid has come in yet, but we're expecting a bid to come in from Crystal Palace, and Eddie Nketiah is still expected to leave. There's even an unnamed European club that are also interested in Eddie Nketiah, but Crystal Palace looking like the favourites now to sign him. Now, what about this one, Viktor Osimhen? And we spoke about Osimhen on yesterday's show, and I spoke about the fact that Arsenal could still make a late move. Then the news broke yesterday that Napoli had accepted an offer from the Saudi Arabian team, Al Ahly, for £55 million, 65 million euros. That's roughly just over £55 million. They've accepted that. That is half of what they've been asking for in their release clause. Remember, they wanted £110 million at the start of this window. They've been sticking to it really, really staunchly, but now they're willing to accept around £55 million. And that is an astonishing drop. That's half. Now, the deal's not been done yet because Osimhen has still got to agree personal terms and his wages and everything with Al Hilal. However, they'll match wages surely for him. And, he's probably going to be on his way to Saudi. But should Arsenal be looking to hijack this move, £55 million is a big drop from the original £110 million that was being asked for. And also, we need a striker. Now, the one sticking point for this is that Viktor Osimhen is going to want a lot of wages. He's going to want, the talk is he's going to want in excess of £250,000 a week. But listen, he is deemed as one of the top strikers in Europe. He's got a great goal scoring record. But could Arsenal make a late move and try and hijack this deal for Viktor Osimhen? I'm sure he would prefer to stay in Europe and continue playing his football. He's still only young. He's still only like 25. But if Arsenal are to make a move, they're going to have to move fast. But at the moment, looking like he could be heading to Saudi Arabia. And what does that do for Viktor Gyokeres? I saw an article yesterday where it says that Arsenal still looking at forwards, still looking at up to 10 forward players right now. Viktor Gyokeres, if his release clause £86 million, they're not gonna get that. You've seen with the Osimhen thing, and all right, the Osimhen thing might have been influenced by the fact that Lukaku's coming and they just want to move him on now. A little bit different in Sporting's case in that they don't want to lose Gyokeres because he's already scored 6 goals in 3 games. However, the money, they may not get another opportunity to make big money off of Gyokeres. £86 million release clause, they're not going to get that. None of the big release clauses now, when I look at it, have been met this summer. There was the release clause for João Neves, who went to PSG. That was over 100 million. He went for 50 odd. Osimhen now, Napoli have accepted 55. £86 million. Sporting ain't going to get that, and they probably going to know that now. Do Arsenal now go in and make a big move, I don't know, say 55, 60 million for Gyokeres and try and test the waters on that? We need to get a forward player. I really do feel that. But let's see how that one happens. And the other one is Nico Williams of Athletic Bilbao. Now, it's still looking, for all intents and purposes, that he's going to stay there. There's been no movement yet. However, the report's still there today that Arsenal are not finished with this and may still make a move to try and get him before the end of the transfer window. That would mean they're meeting that £49 million release clause, which needs to be met in full to get that deal done. They'd have to try and do this one by deadline day, but it's not an easy one to be done. But the talk is that Arsenal have not given up hope on trying to get a deal done. I was chatting to somebody yesterday. I think it was Lee Judges on Saturday. He goes, yeah, they're going to get Nico Williams. It would be the one from Nottingham Forest, the Welsh player. I'll tell you, no, that was really funny. But let's see what happens with Nico Williams. And there's still I'm pronouncing this one right every time. Ademola Lookman. Left out of the Atalanta squad completely for their game at the weekend, is definitely set to move. PSG have been the favourites, but Arsenal are still said to be in there, still said to be interested in Lookman. Atalanta looking for £51 million. Again, I think that's too high, even though he had an outstanding season last year. But to get that is going to be difficult for them. But could Arsenal make a move for him? That's another forward player that could interest Arsenal. And then what about Ivan Toney? He was left out of the Brentford squad yesterday. That they lost away at Liverpool. But no Ivan Toney, not even on the bench. Again, linked with a move to Saudi Arabia. But should Arsenal be going in and maybe making a move for him? You know, again, these are players that are available if the price is right. And Ivan Toney, it may not even be a mad price, despite the fact we've heard, you know, talk of Brentford wanting 60 million and stuff. He ain't going to get that. I'm sure they're not going to get that. Even from, if a Saudi Arabia team's only willing to pay 55 million for Viktor Osimhen, I can't see them paying 60 for an older Ivan Toney. Players are available. They are there. What are Arsenal going to do in these last 5 days? Or are they just going to go for somebody completely out of the blue that we're not expecting, which is probably more than likely what will happen? Aaron Ramsdale, Arsenal said are set to let him go out on loan, but only if a team agrees an obligation to buy at the end of it. But his options are starting to whittle down as well. This is another player that could end up staying at Arsenal and not moving this transfer window. Southampton, as I reported yesterday, they're moving for a goalkeeper. That's literally done. Bournemouth looks like they're getting Kepa. These were two of the teams that were really interested in him. They look like they're going to get Kepa. That only really leaves, at the moment, Wolverhampton Wanderers as a team that could make a move for him. They conceded 6 yesterday. They may be looking definitely for a new goalkeeper. But Aaron Ramsdale, still up in the air with Ramsdale, whether he's staying or going. It's going to be interesting to see what happens to him before the end of the transfer window. And finally, I'm being told Merino is going to get announced today, but I ain't trusting nothing right now. This is the longest. No, actually, no. When I think about Arsenal transfers in the past, there's been longer than this one, but this one's taken ages. But all set to be announced. He's passed his medical and will be announced as an Arsenal player, but we want more. And we got only 5 days to do it. Let's see what happens. Thanks for watching the show today. Don't forget to check out all of our great content over the weekend, all the interviews we did at Villa Park and in the studio. You can check out the watch along again if you want to do that as well. And remember, AFTV available on all platforms. So make sure you check us wherever you watch us. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.